Tom, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think today you've got some confessions from the workplace to share with us.
This is true. Yeah, I've amassed a fair number of embarrassing incidents in my time in the workplace. Some of them even before I was even in the workplace. I started at school. I got humbled by a lot of teachers. But yeah, there's a lot that I'm happy to share and some that I'm not.
You've named the book Awkward. So I get the feeling there's going to be a few awkward points coming up for us today.
Yeah, it's quite cathartic, I think, getting a lot of this off my chest and putting it into the book. But it's also really just, embarrassing and awkward. So if I cringe or blush, you'll understand why.
I'm pretty confident there's some of those moments coming up. So I'm really excited to actually hear about. Normally on these podcasts, I do quite a lot of serious kind of conversations.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased to see where this might go today, and I'm also very scared. So I'm delighted. I'll warn everybody now that this might go into an interesting place. So let's talk about a couple chapters. So know your brands. What happened there?
So this was probably one of the early ones where I had a new manager in my team at the company I worked for, still work for, and he came in and he was just very militant with dressing professionally and everything else. So, grey suits and straight ties, starched shirts. And then we had dress down Fridays. And all of a sudden, it was like we had our real life Clark Kent. He suddenly came in Converse trainers, skinny jeans, a shirt with the sleeves rolled up and a gilet. And we were like, who is this guy? And I thought, you know what? I need to A, curry some favour because he's my new boss, and B, just give him a compliment because guys aren't really that good at giving compliments without it being a bit of a put down in the same way. So we were going to go on a trip to another office and I hopped in the car with him to car share. And I thought, now's the moment. So we're having a bit of a chat. And I said, do you know what, Malcolm? I was like, you look like a fat face model. Now, at the time, Fat Face was doing these like amazing combos, primarily with a gilet over the top of like a check shirt. And he looked exactly like that. But it didn't really land. He didn't say anything. So I thought, oh, maybe he's not heard. So I thought, classic, I'll just repeat it just a bit louder. I was like, no, I think that you look like a fat face model. And he said, I beg your pardon. And he clenched his jaw and I thought, oh no. I was like, what's gone wrong here? And he just went bright red and flustered. And I thought, what have I said? I've struck a nerve. And then it dawned on me. He had no idea that Fat Face was a brand. He thought I was just calling him fat. And so then I tried to backtrack. He was having none of it. And he didn't talk to me for about a week. And then about a week later, he then started to talk to me again. And I think, okay, he's probably done his research. He's probably spoken to his wife. And she said, look, there's a brand called Fat Face. Rich just wasn't being fattest. Well, yeah. So
the level of awkwardness just to swallow you up in that moment, especially in a car as well.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific. There's a lot of car journeys where I get stuck in that situation, and whether it's just 10 minutes or 2 hours, you can't escape. But it never did see him wear that gilet again. That was the end of it. I feel so bad for poor Malcolm. I was like, oh no, I hope I didn't put him off because he did look really suave. But yeah, that was an early example of just awkwardness
and deeply offensive as well.
Yeah,
I mean, calling someone you've got a fat face.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty out there. I mean, it's not even funny. It's just straight to the bone. It's just, it's just abuse. And that's not my style. I mean, if I am going to be abusive, I'll be a bit clever about it, at least make a pun. But yeah, that was not a good moment.
Love that. I love that. Brilliant. Lovely to reflect on. Actually, funny enough, it just reminds, I'm going to share it now. It reminds me of something that happened when I was in, I had an Audi TT.
Nice.
And years ago, and I had heated seats in it. And I can't remember why now, but our MD was like, I think we were at Reading football, and he's like, I need a lift back. I can't remember why, but anyway, he got in the car with me. And he got in the car, and then he asked me he didn't ask me to turn on the heated seats.
Oh.
But I turned them anyway, just out of courtesy,
it's
thinking,
a surprise
this would
when
be
that
good.
happens.
And we're driving along, and he went, oh, I feel like I've wet myself.
That is the feeling. If no one's briefed you on it, you think, oh God, do I confess? Do I check? Do I just try and stroll out the car and hope nobody sees? Oh, damn.
But the funny thing was, and I obviously laughed, and I was like, oh, yeah, but because this guy must have been closer to 70s, right?
Oh, wow.
And all I could think of saying at the time was, it's all right. A lot of older people wet themselves. I thought, I'll come at it with empathy. I was like, it's okay, that happens a lot, without realising, oh, it's the heated seats.
I mean, that was a well-intentioned comment that you threw out there, but equally, you've just been ageist. I mean, God, we're ticking these off. I mean, we're a couple of minutes in. This is amazing.
Right,
How did he take it, though? Was he okay with that, or did he just, give you a P45 the next day?
Well, fortunately, it was okay. We did get home. It wasn't very long after that the company went into administration. He'd lost his job.
Oh.
So I don't think it was connected. There we are. Right. So I'm really looking forward to this one because I think interviews are awful enough for all of us.
Yeah.
Let alone propositioning someone in the interview.
Oh, yeah, that chapter in the book. So that was so awkward because I don't know. I tried to really build a camaraderie with somebody. Every interview I've been in, I think, do you know what? It's as much about the person as it is about their skill set. And so I think I will try and strike up that bond with the interviewer. And unfortunately, I started getting on really well with the guy that was interviewing me. And that's not the unfortunate bit. But what is unfortunate is it lulled me into this false sense of security where then I thought, you know what? I need to keep upping the ante. I need to keep upping the banter. And he was saying to me, he said, look, my expectations for the role are that I want someone that's going to do something amazing, that's really going to kind of blow my socks off if they get the job. And I don't know why, but I saw that as an opportunity to just build on that phrase and just then go some. And I went, well, tell you what, if you give me the job, I'll blow more than just your socks off. And I started laughing like you've just done then, but he wasn't laughing. He just started staring at me. And I was like, why is he not laughing? So then I thought, well, I'll double down. I'll laugh even harder. So I was like, oh. And then he stared at me and I thought, oh shit, what have I done? And then I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, I wouldn't blow you. I went, no, but not that you're not an attractive guy. And I was like, oh my God. And I was just digging deeper and deeper. And the worst thing was I knew that he had like 3 more people to interview over the next day. But half an hour after that interview, he called me up and he was like, I'm really sorry, you've not got the job. I was like, no, I know you've got more people to interview. Like, I must surely be better than one of those. He was like, no. Fuck. So, yeah. And yeah, sadly, that wasn't the only time that I propositioned a colleague, but yeah, that was brutal. And the worst thing was he was in the company that I worked for. It's an internal move. And so I had to see him around the office. And then we had, like, it's crazy timing. There was like what do you call it, where it's like inappropriate behavior workshop. So the company had said, right, on the back of like the Me Too movement and everything else, quite right, let's make sure that everyone's aware of boundaries in the professional workplace. And the lady that was delivering the session made this comment about propositioning people. And this guy looked at me across the room and I just went, oh, fuck off, like that. But it was the worst timing because no one else knew that he'd looked at me. And so all these people in the class thought, oh, here we go, classic sex pest. He's like, oh, fuck that. Yeah, too woke to be doing this. And I was like, oh my God. And I got hauled in front of HR after that. It was just horrendous. And I was like, it's all because of this guy looking at me. And they're like, what do you mean? Show some self-control. So, yeah. Not my finest hour.
You are a HR walking nightmare.
That is actually the exact quote from one of the HR directors. Yeah. Yep. He's like, how are you still employed? Because we speak every so often, every time we check in, he's like, how are you still here? Like, what are you still doing? How have they not sacked you yet? And I'm like, yeah, the gods are on my side. I'm like a cat with 9 lives, but I must have about 50 in the corporate world.
Have you seen the guy since, actually in person?
Yeah.
What's happened?
We went for a beer and he said, are we going to talk about it? I was like, nope. And he went, great. And that was it. So I was like, fantastic. It's been brushed under the carpet. Like so many things in life, if it's even a little bit awkward, under that carpet it goes.
I love that. That's a real male response as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's slightly awkward. Let's just not talk about it. Let's move on.
But I'd rather that than him go, do you know what? Let's sit down, have a chat. Let's just, grab a cup of tea, just go through it. I'd be like, fuck that. No way. I mean, maybe with a glass of wine, I'd probably be open to it. I don't know. Is that a thing? Do people have therapy with glasses of wine? I feel like that's a concept that maybe like BetterHelp should get on board with. Get a free subscription for Pinot Grigio alongside your therapy sessions. I'd be up for that.
I think there's a link. There's a link there, isn't there?
It's a great loosener of the tongue, of the mind, of morals. Yeah, white wine. That's my social lubricant.
Right. Discreet entrances. I mean, I can't believe where this might go.
So at the time I worked for this company, a sales company, and I was really bad at sales, really bad. Like I didn't last long in it, but there's quite a few chapters to it because sales, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is a lot of like energy. There's high energy, high desire to hit targets. And I went in, and I'd gone from like a science background where turning up meant, I don't know, hanging your shirt up before you put it on, rather than just like getting it out of the laundry basket all crumpled and stick it on. If you brush your hair, people would be like, "Ooh, got an interview." The bar was set so low. So then when I went into sales from that science world, and people were like suntanned, they had pink shirts, and they were like knocking back Red Bull. They're like, "Yeah," high-fiving. I thought, what the fuck is this place? What have I? I've stepped into a parallel universe. Anyway, it was really good in terms of the company retreats were ace. Like we were owned by a German company at the time, and so we used to go to Germany once a year for these big company retreats, and it was awesome. But we went away, and the CEO was doing a big speech the next day, and everyone's like, right, 9 a.m. The CEO is going to be on stage in this big like auditorium, giving a company briefing on where we're going to go as a business for the next year. They're like, you've got to be there. I was like, awesome. Now, I know I'm rubbish at waking up anyway, but with a couple of drinks in me, I'm pretty bad. With a lot of drinks in me, I'm atrocious. So I actually bought 2 of those little travel alarm clocks and set an alarm on my phone. I was like, right, 3 alarms, nothing can go wrong. I mean, we went out and it was wild. Like, they took us to a nightclub and they're like, do you know what's a free bar? We're like, what? We're like, yeah, free beer. So we're drinking, and like the CEO came of the German parent company came over, and he was like, you want schnapps? You want schnapps? I was like, yeah, fine. He steps behind the bar, shoves the barman out the way. He's like, you know who I am. So the barman was like, yeah, okay. Pulls this drawer open. There's just all these bottles of schnapps, and he was like pouring it in our mouths. And it was wild. It was like being on an 18 to 30s holiday. And then they had ladies up on stage that were dancing, and there was flamethrowers. I was like, this was like the era before health and safety. It was wild. And so we were obviously drinking, going nuts. And I don't know what time I got to bed. I don't remember much after 9 o'clock. I don't remember anything after 10 o'clock. And then I woke up the next day at 9 o'clock, and I was like, oh, God, that was a great night. And I was like, oh, yeah, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Why does it ring a bell? I was like, fuck, 9 o'clock. The CEO is starting his big spiel on stage. So I was like, do you know what? I need to get ready super quick. And so I thought I was on like super speedy speed, but actually I think I was more like I was on ketamine. I was just so sluggish. And I thought, do you know what? I'll be really efficient. So I squeezed some toothpaste on my finger, and I was like rubbing it in my mouth to do that whilst I was running down the corridor to get to the auditorium, because we were staying in the same place. I was still pissed, evident by the fact I was trying to put my contact lenses in, even though I had them in still. I'd slept in them. So my eyes were fucking bloodshot from where I'd been jamming my eye. I tried putting my clothes on from last night. I ran down. I thought, do you know what? I don't want to be caught out by the classic, like the squeaky door, and everyone turn around and be like, oh, there he is. Here he is walking in. So I thought, I will just be firm and open that door with purpose, and then I can slip in at the back of the room unnoticed. And yeah, happy days. And as long as I learn a few things that he said, I can pass the test the next day, because the MD always said, and what did you like about the CEO speech? So I thought, as long as I can say one thing, recall one story or anecdote the CEO said, I'll be fine. So I went up to this door, and I was like, right, I can hear him in there. He's in full swing. Great. So I pulled the handle down. I went, right, 3, 2, 1, go. I pushed the door open, stepped in. I was like, do you know what? It's brighter at the back of the room than I expected. It really is. And then as I stepped forward, I went, oh, fuck. I'd burst onto stage next to the CEO delivering his annual pitch to the whole company. And I was like, oh, my fucking God. It was just mortifying. And then I was like, do you know what? There's nothing left to do but just style it out. So I just strode down the steps, walked to the back of the room, and just sat there. And I Googled like the world's loudest alarm clock, because I thought, I'm going to be determined never for this to happen again. But yeah, that was horrendous. And that was my not so discreet entrance. And he kept mentioning that every month afterwards. Whenever he came into the office, he was like, oh, do you know which door's the front door and the back door? I was like, yeah. I avoided making a pun, but yeah. He never let me forget it.
Oh my word. What a story. What a story.
Drinking just doesn't mix with the corporate life too well.
No, but it's kind of entwined though.
It is.
It's like you need to drink to get through the corporate life. So you can't have one without the other.
Exactly, especially if you're in like business development. I mean, biz dev, you've got to kind of blur those lines between professional and social, corporate and not corporate. I mean, you must have maybe had a few experiences over the years where you've found yourself in situations going, do I wrap it up now, or do I keep going? Is there a chance that I could get a deal off the back of this? Must be hard.
Yeah, it's made me think, should I share how I did my first ever deal? Oh, it is my podcast after all. Maybe I should share, or maybe I'm not ready.
Your first deal, it sounds like, yeah, pop in the sales cherry. Let's hope you didn't pop any other cherries to get that deal across the line.
Oh, mate, I will tell you, because you're sharing. I'm not too sure if I should, because my sales friends might watch this. fuck it, let's do it.
Yes.
So it's my first deal. I've been in telemarketing for 9 months, and I'd just been promoted the month before.
Nice.
And they've come in and they said, right, you're ready to move into a sales role, but you need to try and do a deal as quickly as you could.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, cool. There's this company I've been talking to already. And I thought, great, I know they've got a deal coming up. Maybe I can get the renewal. I'll meet up with them. Anyway,
Nice.
so just so happened there's also a corporate event, like a big InfoSec security thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll go to that and I'll invite them to it. So
Yeah.
cool. So saw them during the day. Oh, should we meet up later? Should we go for a bit of food? Should we, I was like, I think, this is how it works. You build a relationship.
Full schmoozing. Yeah.
So one of my pre-sales guys, he came with me, went to this thing, and it wasn't too long. We're having drinks, and I was like, this is cool. I was told that I could expense some stuff, and we all had sat down having drinks. And it wasn't too very long till my pre-sales guy goes, I think this is a gay bar. I was like, okay. And I had to reconcile for a moment and thought, I want the order, and this is a gay bar. I'm like, okay, this is just a gay bar. That's cool. I'm
The
very.
music will be great. The drinks will be good.
We're already there having drinks. I'm like, okay, that's cool with me. I can do it. So we carried on drinking. We carried on partying. It got a bit later, and the problem I have is that when I get a taste for the party, I still want to keep the party going.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing my sales manager said to me was, no one is staying over in the hotel. I thought, okay, well, also means I'm homeless.
That's a problem. Yep.
Because now I'm in London and now I'm out on the Raz and I've got to come back to this IT thing the next day, and I'm not allowed to stay in the hotel.
It's kind of forced your hand a bit.
He's forced my hand a bit. So anyway, so the client has also then said, do you want to come back to mine? I'm like, for a party? He's
Nice.
like, yeah, for a party. I'm like, come on, Mr. Pre-Sales, let's go back. We've gone all the way back to his house. And it didn't really dawn on me until about 4 o'clock in the morning that it was really clear
Oh, no.
what I'd done. Basically, to try and get my first order, I've gone to the gay bar. I've gone back to his house. And now I'm in his room, in his place in Clapham.
Oh,
And it wasn't too long until he said, well, you've gone to a gay bar with me. You've come back to my house.
How bad do you want the deal?
And he jokingly went, are we doing this deal? And I was like, what do you mean?
Which deal? Oh, my days. So you properly hoard yourself out for your first deal?
I got the order 2 days later. I'm just saying. I took one for the team.
Well, that has a lot more connotations to it than that phrase normally has. And that might be the point where we stop that story.
For clarity, I didn't do the thing. I left respectable. I got
Well
home and I got in loads of trouble because I walked in
What time of the day?
back to the hotel around 7 o'clock in the morning when everyone else was having breakfast. And the question was very simply, you stayed over in London last night. And I couldn't tell him where I'd been or how I'd done it, but I did assure him he was getting his order.
And I imagine that made all the problems go away. Oh, wow. So you little tease.
Well, yeah. I
Jeez.
didn't realise I was going to share that story today. I feel very
Nice.
red.
Sharing is caring. This is what it's all about.
Right, this show is supposed to be about you. So, right, we're going to go
Go on.
into the blood blister. What could this be about?
Yeah. So my career is like a real smorgasbord in terms of science background, then scrambling for work. Like I came out of university when there was the 2008 financial crash. So the job market dried up. There was hardly anything available. So I thought, you know what? I need some money. And so I took any job I could. And thankfully, I got a job working with some builders, and they were building conservatories, fitting windows and doors and things. I was like, yeah, I'll turn my hand at this. I might be some scrawny science graduate, but I reckon I could lift a load of bricks. That incidentally is another story that's god awful in terms of why not? We're sharing, right? So
Please do. Please
it's
do.
not in the book, but
Okay, this is a bonus episode. This is a bonus one. We're going to come back to the blood blister in a moment, and we're going to go to this bonus story.
So all these builders, you know, they're strong guys. Even if they don't look like stacked, they can lift a load of stuff. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to be one of the lads. And so we went, and there was a load of bricks. And so I hopped in the back of this transit van. We'd gone to pick up just a small pallet of bricks. And I was like, oh, seeing these guys stack it up like a little chimney and pick up these bricks, I can do that. And I'll show them. And I'll hop out the back of the van, walk over and drop it down. And they'll finally be like, do you know what? This guy can walk the walk. And so I bent down, picked up this stack of bricks, stood up in one smooth motion, And unfortunately, the other smooth motion was my sphincter giving way, and I shat my pants in the back of the transit van, and it was fucking awful. And then I was like, what do? I'm on a building site. There's nothing around here. And I was like, oh God. So then I had to lower the things back down, which was disgusting, all the squelching. And then I had to hop out the van. And when you jump out of a van a couple of feet up and there's shit in your pants,
Oh my God.
it dislodges that. That goes everywhere. And so I was like, right. So I went to the Portaloo, and I mean, going for any kind of business in the Portaloo is grim anyway. Trying to clean yourself up after you've just messed yourself is horrendous. And all I know is you can't block a Portaloo. So I stuffed my pants and the socks I used to clean myself up with in that Portaloo, pulled the lever, the blue stuff, washed it away. So happy days. I know that's not blocking like any kind of waste pipe. It's all good.
It's very nice that you're environmentally friendly at the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just so many awful experiences as a builder. So yeah, from cacking myself in the back of a van to the first time I ever tried to pour cement into the foundations that had been dug for a conservatory. And I thought you just like tip it up and the cement would tip out the wheelbarrow down into the ditch, the hole that had been dug. There's a crucial thing in that the builders have a bit of dexterity in that they know there's a certain time that you flip your hands so that then you can lift the wheelbarrow up. I lifted it, pushed it forward. The end fell into the hole and dragged me with it. I just went squealing like down into the cement, got covered in cement, got mocked. Yeah, and after that, they basically just called me this little daisy. Just called me princess. And I was like, right. So that's why after that, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to cut the mustard. But it became pretty clear to all of them that I was fucking useless. I was terrible. And I mean, like, we would fit the ends of windowsills. So we'd fit the windows, did a good job, and the windowsill was there. But because you cut a windowsill down to length, there's like a hollow bit through the middle. So you have to put a little cap on the end so it doesn't look absolutely rubbish. And the way you seal it on with super glue is with a lot of super glue. But the trouble was, I was so just clumsy that I then got my hand stuck to the end of this windowsill. And they were like, right, we're off. I was like, no. I was like, no, help me. I was like, my hand is stuck to the windowsill. Like, yeah, we know. Catch you later, mate. And I was like, no, it's like, fuck. Like, you just got to pull it. You just got to pull it. I was like, oh, I don't want to. It's like 3, 2, 1. And just the ripping noise is real. Like the ripping noise. So I'm pretty sure like, if that house ever gets burgled, the police will be like, we don't even need to dust for prints. We can see there's a whole load of fucking prints on the side of that windowsill right there. And it'll be me. So I need to make sure that I remember the address of that home. So if they ever look me up in the database, I'll be like, this is the story why I wasn't burgling. I was just completely inept with super glue. But yeah, so they knew I was rubbish. And they said one day, they're like, right, you can just stay in the yard chopping wood. I was like, great. Okay. It's the middle of winter. It's freezing. Can I not just go into the house that we're working on? It's nice and warm. They're like, no, you fucked up enough this month. You're going in the yard. So, right. So I had all these long bits of the wooden window frames that we ripped out. And there was like a big saw, a little band saw that you'd pull down and you saw through. And I cut it into little chunks because the owner had a log burning stove in his lounge. And these bits would fit perfectly inside and keep him warm during winter. And I got really bored and no one had given me much training. The guy just said, right, you put your wood there, keep your thumbs away, pull the handle down, snip it, all good. And that's the on and off button. I was like, great, okay. He never told me the crucial bit, which is if you get bored and you try and speed things up, there's only so quick that you can go through a bit of wood with a blade before it snags. And so I got really bored. I was like, do you know what, fuck this. I want to go down the pub. So I'm going to finish early. So I was like, trying to cut through as many as I could, as quick as I could. But it snagged. And when it snagged, it twisted like that bit of wood that it got snagged on. Now, the RPM of a bandsaw is crazy. And what happened was it span so quick, it pinched the end of my finger between the wood and the metal tray that it was on, the metal stand. I was like, fuck. So I managed to pull my finger out. And it was the mother of all blood blisters. Like my finger looked like ET's. It was just massive, swollen. It's horrendous. And then this thing just filled with blood. And it was a proper blood blister. I was like, oh my God, it's disgusting. Eventually it went down over the course of the week. And we went out for our staff Christmas party with the owner. So it was a husband and wife combo that owned the business. And super lovely, took us out to this Chinese restaurant. And we were sat there. And I was sat opposite the lady owner. And she was like, oh, how's your finger? I heard that you had a little accident. I was like, yeah, I got this blood blister. Look at it. It's terrible. She had a look and she went, oh, it's not that bad. I've seen worse. And I thought, well, I'll have you know that was fucking horrendous. I was like, right. So to prove how bad it was, I went, oh, well, it was really turgid. Like, look at this. So I tried to squeeze my finger a bit to get the blood back in it. And as it got really turgid, I was like, look how bad that was. And it went, and it popped. But the thing is, it didn't just pop any old way. It popped with like a tiny pinprick hole that meant it shot out. It shot blood straight across the table, over our Christmas dinners, all over her white blouse, all into her Christmas dinner. And I was like, oh my God. And everyone at the table was like, what is that? I was like, I'm so sorry. And she was going, she was like dry heaving. And then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And we had this Cockney geezer with us called Steve. And he was just like, yeah, it's all right, love. You can just, eat around it. She was like, what? No. And it was bedlam, and it was awful. And so, yeah, that blood blister, my attempt to be like, yeah, look at this, I'm a real man, look at the blood blister I had, just popped and just squirted blood all over her white shirt and Christmas dinner.
There is definitely no one that should never, ever, ever work on a building site ever again.
Yeah.
Like, you're not the man for that.
I'm not a man for many jobs. I mean, linked to that, I was a waiter for all of one shift before I got demoted to being a pot wash. Because I went out and it was a nice restaurant, and they said, right, you want to go out, there's a table of 12, here's the champagne flutes. So I had the tray, balanced the champagne flutes on, and went out. They were and they were empty. It was just to see who wanted one before we went round and poured. And I went over to the table. I was like, ladies and gents, we've got champagne flutes. Who would like some champagne? There's this really obnoxious guy on the end, and he just waved his hand away at me like, oh, no, I don't want one. As he waved his hand, I was like, oh, fuck, he's going to hit the tray. So I was like, whoa. And I obviously overcorrected and then went the other way, and then all these champagne flutes just dropped and smashed. They'd had their meal served, and there was glass in 9 out of the 12 meals. And the worst thing was, part of the one of the champagne glasses, I could see a bit had dropped into a lady's cleavage. And so I went, oh, that's fine, I'll get that for you. And I wiggled my fingers in anticipation. But it wasn't like me being a perv going, whoa, lovely. It was more like, okay, this is going to be a tricky one. How do I do it? I need full dexterity. And so I went in, I reached my hand in, and then the manager came over and was like, no. And I was like, what? He was like, get into the kitchen. I was like, oh, no. And so, yeah, just like I said, there's no end of just awkwardness.
So definitely no building sites.
No building sites, no restaurants.
No restaurants.
Offices are borderline, to be honest.
Oh, my God. I don't know how you've ever kept a job.
No. But actually, I'm very proud to say there's only been one job where I've not been fired, but I've been, when they say there was a mutual agreement.
Oh, right, okay.
A mutual agreement was reached that I should leave the workplace.
It's like one of those restricted NDAs where you're just not allowed to talk about it. Everyone leaves quietly. If we just don't talk about this ever again, it will be reasonable.
Yeah. And that showed there is a time and a place for dropping the C-bomb, and it's definitely not in a call centre.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dropping the C-bomb, I've got a story on that. So,
nice.
At the beginning of my sales career, I was working with a client, and I think we'd been working with them for a while, but it was like I was like the overlay salesperson.
Okay.
So it's someone else's customer, but like I was working with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've been a bit of a pain. Anyway, so and I'm
Your
quite
colleague or the customer.
The customer had been a bit of a pain, and the person that owned the account was very very serious, very professional, very good with his customer and all that sort of stuff. So it was obviously good that I was working with them. Anyway, in the office at the time, certainly in the first 2 or 3 years, when I was kind of still trying to learn the office culture, and obviously not realising kind of the things to say on email and things not to say, and I was still a bit chatty because I was all a bit new. I'm laughing because I know what I can say and what I can't say here. Anyway, so they've placed the order.
Nice.
And he's messaged me straight away and gone, oh, they've placed the order, but almost as a professional way to say the order's been placed over to you.
Okay.
In a professional way. I've replied in a joking way, thank God those CUNTs have placed the order. What a nightmare they've been. Ha ha ha. Not realising when he was messaging me, he'd copied in the customer.
Oh, no.
So I'd reply to all because I'm not used to this. I'm not used to like this sorts of things. And because he was right at the other end of the... So I was like, then his name was Martin. Martin looked at me, just a whole of... What have you done? And it wasn't, I was like, yeah, we got the order. We've got the order. And he was like, check your emails. Check the email.
Man, that is phenomenal.
And it wasn't until I looked back and gone, oh, the customer's on the email. The customer's on the email.
And sometimes recalling emails doesn't really work, does it?
Well, it didn't. I didn't know about how to recall email, and I didn't do it. All I know was that as Martin's then turned around, he's now got a phone call from the customer cancelling the order.
No!
Of course.
Oh, God.
I worked on that for ages.
That must have like tanked your relationship with Martin as well.
Yeah, me and him never did any work together again. My relationship with him and many other people in the sales team was pretty quick. Other than, I'm just really sorry. I'm really stupid. I know I'm really stupid.
Everyone has to learn that lesson once, though. Everyone learns an email lesson once in their career. Better early on than late. I mean, I got screwed over by email by one of my close friends in the team. We used to like banter back and forth, and I knew that our company used to monitor emails. I was like, well, I can't really swear. I can't say anything too outrageous. You know, I thought I'll put little asterisks in the words that were swearing so as not to be truly, breaking the rules. But yeah, we used to send back and forth emails and stuff about what we'd been up to on the weekends. One weekend, I had not horrendous, I had a great weekend, but a horrendous hangover. And I messaged him on Monday. I was like, hey, buddy. I was like, how was your weekend? Did you meet up with Gemma? Did you get any? Like, I bet you've got a big smile on your face this weekend because of the girl he was seeing. And I was like, I went out absolutely shit-faced with these other guys. And I was like, God, did so much stuff. It was ace. Sat in my pants all weekend after that, just watching movies and eating shit food. And I was like, God, I can't be arsed with this job, blah, blah, blah. Wrapped up, sent in the email. And then later that afternoon, I got a reply. And I was like, oh, how did this person reply to that email? That wasn't my friend's name. So it turned out I'd started typing his name. And then if you hit like the tab key, it auto populates the rest of the name if it's like a common name. So I was like, oh, I typed in like the first 3 letters of his surname, hit tab, and thought that would populate his name. And because I was still probably hungover from the weekend, I didn't really check what it had done. It had sent it to a government department that we were working with on a massive contract. And so when this guy replied back, like you, just thinking, oh, fuck, what have I done? But the most amazing thing happened. I'd actually been quite nice to the guys that were in this department. Most of the people in the businesses that this government department worked with treated them just like civil servants, like robots, no emotion. I was like, oh no, I'm going to treat this guy like a human being. So we had a good catch up. We found out what we liked, didn't like, bit of banter. It was all good. And as a result, he was the first person within that government department to see the email land. And he went, nope. Replied back to me saying, I've deleted this. You shouldn't have sent it to us, should you? And from that day onwards, I said to him, I owe you so much. I owe him so much because guaranteed he saved my role and he saved our business from losing a lot of business, as you've shown can happen if you fuck things up with email.
Oh God, yeah, email. Wow. Well, thank heavens for that gentleman for doing so.
Yeah, Aaron, I remember him. Yeah, absolute legend. Still owe him to this day. But funny enough, I confessed to someone else in our team of what happened, and when they found that out, I was soon removed from being able to email that government department. They actually put in place a policy that said only a senior manager will now be able to communicate with this government department. Everything will go through them and come from them. I said, yeah, good idea.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice. Yeah, well done. Let's protect our revenue and our relationships from people like me.
Yes, exactly.
Right. There's so many more for us to choose from.
It was really hard actually trying to whittle it down into chapters for the book. And I was like, well, do you know what? I'll make another one. So there's so much stuff that didn't go into this one that I guarantee I'll do another book.
This has got to be a stand-up show.
It probably should do.
I think it should be. Like we need to take this on tour. You need to take this on tour because I think there's so much in here and it's also so relatable. Yeah. Because like I didn't even know I was going to share my stories with you today, but it just felt like it was right. But there's so much in here that everyone can relate to.
Good. I'm glad.
And I feel like it's like you could be everyone's favourite fuck up.
And I think that is something that I end up being, and I'm happy with that title. I would wear that moniker. Yeah, everyone's favourite fuck up.
You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
This is my parents saying that. Like, oh, you're our most favourite fuck up. I'm like, hold on a minute. Have you seen my brother?
The headphones debacle.
Yeah. So everybody has been caught, right, with the thing where your friends send you a clip. There's like a normal clip, and then suddenly the porn audio jumps in of the moaning and groaning, and you're like, oh, no, like mute or get off the video. Like, it's just a classic prank. Like, there's people that have been caught out, I think, in like council meetings, in studios and things. And so I got wise to it in the end. I was like, do you know what, motherfuckers? You keep getting me. I'm going to constantly have my phone on mute. And then one day I thought, this video's come in. I really want to appreciate it. My friend had said, watch it on full volume. I was like, okay, so what I'll do is I'll plug my headset that I normally have plugged into my laptop. I'll plug it into my phone because back in that days there was a little port to put your headphone in. And so I plugged it in and pressed play. And it was a compilation of people doing various things in porn movies that then sounded like a Christmas song. I don't know how they quite managed it, but they got all the right tones and pitches and things. I was like, this is really good. I was like, but it's still quite quiet. So I was turning my phone up really loud. I was like, it's still not coming through very clear. It's still like really muffled. I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just listen to it anyway. It was brilliant. And then I looked up, and as I was enjoying it, and more people like turning their heads and looking what was going on. I was like, what is, surely no one can hear through my headset. So I was like, okay. So I pushed my headphones closer to my ears, but there's still more people like peering like meerkats over the monitors. I'm like, what the fuck? And it turns out I hadn't pushed the little cable all the way into my phone. So I was just blaring filth out of my phone in the middle of the office, thinking that it was coming through my headset. Oh no, that was just full bore out into the open plan office. And yeah, everyone's like, well, there we go. There's the fucking pervert listening to porn, middle of the office, no shame whatsoever.
How do you get away with that? I mean, what did they say to you after that?
I mean, thankfully, my boss worked in a completely different office. So it was just my colleagues. And my colleagues were like, you need to consider what you watch in the office. I was like, don't I? Right? Don't I? So then I just go sit in the bathroom and just watch it. Just that way, hopefully minimize the embarrassment. But yeah, I was like, fucking hell. Just simple things like not plugging a cable in.
Well, I've got another story that's similar to that.
Yes.
And this happened to a friend.
Oh, okay. That old classic.
It happened to a friend. It's definitely a friend. It wasn't me. Definitely a friend. But it happened a while ago, but it was definitely a friend. All right. So the thing that happened to the friend, England were playing, right? Everyone's having a good time. He's put on a massive screen, invited all of his mates round.
Nice.
It's a really big screen outside. And then obviously got all the Bluetooth working and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, they've had a great night. England have won.
Nice.
Got hammered. Next day, woke up, feeling a bit sluggish, but hungover. And then he thought, well, I'm home alone. I can have some time with myself. I don't get this very often. So
Absolutely.
Anyway, my friend is lying in bed.
Oh God, I can see already.
Decided to get up, some interesting pictures on the phone.
As you do.
You do. Get some interesting pictures up on the phone from a certain website. Just having some fun with himself. And then very quickly he's realised the whole system is still connected. The image that is showing here is now showing on the outside massive giant screen, which is overlooked by all the neighbours' houses.
Wow.
Just thought,
you have just spun up neighbourhood porn.
Yes.
What a concept.
Neighbourhood porn.
Come on, dads, everyone chip in. All the dads that are too scared to watch it anymore, just look out your windows. 11 a.m. on the dot, it'll be there on the big screen.
Neighbourhood porn. Love it.
That's a concept. Fair play.
That's a concept. We could do that in our street.
Yeah, because your friend lives in that street, doesn't he?
It wasn't me, it's my friend. I think the biggest issue was for my friend is that while that was happening, it would have been fine if it was the neighbours, but it's the fact that the girlfriend of the time was also downstairs with, with her parents.
Oh, no. Oh.
It had been a big family party. They were downstairs. Oh, it's so awkward thinking about it. They were downstairs, and it's the way my previous house, not mine, friend's house.
Oh, sorry, yes.
But then they're looking outside. And
Could you imagine the parents stood there making a cup of tea on the kitchen counter, looking out the window, going, "Oh my!"
It probably had shown. Now I wasn't there, so I don't know. But it was shown for at least 15 seconds, loud.
That's all anybody needs to know what's going on.
And my friend. My current wife, no, I can't get out of this anymore. And my current wife has often said, "Why did you break up? Why did your last relationship break up?"
Have you ever told her the truth?
No. And I feel like today might be one of the reasons.
I mean, today is a special day, so yeah, perhaps not today. Yeah, what would it be in Valentine's Day and all that would be?
I forgot. Oh no, that's also bad too, isn't it? Have you remembered Valentine's Day?
I did, but I got screwed over. I ordered a card. It's not turned up. Actually, it's probably for the best because it's utter filth. I showed it to a friend. I was like, got this for the wife. And he just went, Now, when a friend doesn't laugh, I think that's where you know you've gone too far. I mean, fuck it. We're in the spirit of sharing.
Please.
I once got my wife a Valentine's Day card that said, it was just a picture of a donut on the front. And it said, "I want you to sit on my face and glaze me like a donut." And it was pretty out there. And I thought it'd just be for us. Trouble is, she put it up on the side. Our kids were too young to read, forgot about it. Her mum came round to look after the kids one day, and there was this card right on the worktop, straight line of sight. And her mum got a bit of an insight there and then into our sex life.
Oh my
And what an absolute deviant I was. And after that, I was like, oh, I came back and the card was laid down. So she'd taken that much offence to it. It'd been laid down. Now I now just see it as a challenge. I was like, how much can I up the ante? But actually, the porn thing, sorry, I was going to say, we said about emails messing with us and screwing us over. We've said about the porn thing. Predictive text.
Ooh.
Now, predictive text, yeah, it messes with people in a number of different ways. And you said about parents and their in-laws. My parents were down. This was only a couple of years ago. So sat in the lounge with my wife, my parents, and I was like, oh, come have a look at our photos from our holiday, like doing the classic thing. And I said, oh, I'll like mirror share whatever it is, my phone to the TV, so you can see the pictures in all their glory on the TV. And they're like, oh, that's a good idea. So I was sharing my pictures up on the TV and we're talking through them, and then bing, a WhatsApp comes up from my brother, and he's like, oh, are mum and dad with you? And so I was like, I'll reply that later. And mum and dad saw it come up on the screen. They're like, no, just reply to him now and say, yeah. We're going to come back probably about 6 o'clock. So if you could put the dinner in the oven, that'd be fantastic. So I was like, cool, okay. So I started like typing the message out, and on screen they could see, hey, yep, I'm just with mum and dad. I'm just flicking through the photos. Of course, it put fingering instead of flicking. And my wife went, excuse me? I was like, oh, quickly delete. I was like, just flicking through the photos. I was like, oh, fuck, that was strange. I was like, if you could put the dinner in the oven by 6 o'clock, that would be gangbang. I was like, oh, no. And I dropped the phone like it was some atomic like weapon. I was like, fuck. And my wife was like, really? And mum was like, and yeah, so then I went, oh my God. And so then I quickly deleted, and I was like, I can explain. And my wife just through gritted teeth was like, we'll talk about this later. Oh, fuck. I knew there was going to be a Spanish Inquisition. But I tried to plead with her. I was like, honestly, it's just an honest mistake. It's just predictive text. And so then she was like, right, okay, motherfucker, you want to have it out here and then in front of your parents? Let's go for it. And she was like, so you mean to tell us, not just, she was like, don't, tell us, you type gangbang more than fantastic. And I thought, you know what? She's got me banged to rights there. Yeah, cannot get out of that one. I just went, talk about it later. Fucking horrendous. It was awful.
Oh, mate. Honestly, you get yourself some right pickles.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Pickles. I've just remembered, it's Valentine's Day. I just remembered a Valentine's Day one.
Oh, nice.
So my past story was about my ex. Obviously, I was trying to hide. I was trying to be clever, and I wasn't clever. So this actually is also about my ex. So there was a time when I was a bit of a party boy, a bit of a drinker.
Oh, hello.
So anyway, me and my bestie have gone out. I can't remember. I feel like, I don't know what day Valentine's Day's fallen on, but it was, let's just say it was a Sunday. I don't know, right? So just say it's a Sunday. But me and my bestie have been out and we've got hammered, just like we normally would do. The challenge was, I'm in a very bit of a drinky stage of my life and drinking career, if you will, where I would drink really to excess.
Yeah.
And then, because I've drank to excess, I'd fall into a very deep sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So if I needed the toilet while I was asleep, there is nothing I'm going to do other than wet the bed.
Oh, fuck.
So anyway, I've gone out, I've got smashed, I've drank everything, I've gone up to bed, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. Then I've woken up about 8 o'clock in the morning. I've looked over at my partner. I'm like, okay, she's there. That's all cool. That's good. I'm obviously hammered still. And I've just noticed this wetness all around me.
Oh, no.
And I thought, I've fucking dropped water, haven't I? I've filled water. I've gone over, the water's still there. I'm like, okay, it's not that. So I've got myself out of bed, and it's taken a few minutes before I've kind of gone, oh, fuck, I've wet myself, haven't I, in bed?
Oh, mate.
And I've looked across at her, and she's lying there.
She's still asleep.
She's still asleep, and I haven't done anything about it yet. But I thought, I don't know what to do here. Anyway, so I've popped downstairs just to see what's the carnage, like how do I minimise what I've done here? Is there a way of me getting out? Anyway, I've gone downstairs, and it just so happens that my mate was there and he was asleep on the sofa. So I've tapped him on the shoulder, woke him up, and I was just communicating. I was like, I've just wet the bed upstairs. She's still asleep in it. What do I do? As I've said that, she's walked down the stairs and gone, "Have you fucking wet the bed?" And I went, "Happy Valentine's Day."
Oh. I mean, there's a way to style it out, Simon, and that is not it. Oh, wow.
I still wonder why it never worked out with her.
Yeah, I can't see there being any signs. Just doesn't make sense. Just that's so ballsy. Just arms out wide like a football chant.
I mean, stupidity and drunk and naive and being young and realising that probably wasn't going to be the best answer. But I thought she might maybe see the funny side of it.
And I take it she didn't.
I mean, it didn't last too much longer. I don't know.
It's an important thing, though, I think, that you need to not find the one really early on.
Yeah.
Because you've got to fuck up. I think, just like looping back into a lot of the other guests, all about growth and discovery and coming to terms with things. I think it's really important that you fuck things up. You have like a canvas with which you can make these mistakes and learn from them before you find someone really important. Because there's a chance that you could fucking piss the bed and throw it out as a Valentine's Day treat, and you could end up pushing that person away, and you think, well, yeah, that could have been, it wouldn't have been, but there could be someone else that could do something to sabotage a really good possible relationship.
So so your relationship advice is get into a relationship with someone who's not your ideal partner, fuck up loads,
Yep.
learn from that,
Yep.
and then just know, oh, this was just a test run. It's no problem. Is this your relationship advice?
And tune in next week for part 2 of my relationship advice. I mean, the funny... This is great. This is like being in confession. I mean, like, not that I've ever done that. I'm not religious, but I feel like you're the priest and I'm confessing. Pissing stories. I went to a wedding and got so hammered, and I was staying at my wife's parents' house, and we went back, and I was horrible. I mean, I'd ended the wedding, the most drunk person there. They'd taken away the glasses to try and get people to leave, and I was like, no. So I got a candle, threw it out the candle holder and used that as a shot glass to then like make homemade shots with. And I was just stuffing my face with all kinds of food and stuff. And then they had the pick and mix table. I was jamming pick and mix into every pocket of my suit and my trousers and in the jacket. Anyway, I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my God, still pissed. I was like, oh God, it was summer. So I was like, oh man, I really sweat last night. I am dripping all over. And then I went to get up and I was like, oh, I'm a bit stuck to the bed. And I was like, got up, turned around and went, holy fuck. It was just this like cacophony of colours, like a rainbow all over the bed. I must have pissed myself. And all the piss must have soaked through all of my suit, leached through the pick and mix, the Haribo that was in my pocket, and had all these colours had leached into this bedding and mattress. And I was like, there's no way I can style this one out. And I'm pretty sure I tried to pour water on it to pretend that I'd spilt a glass of water as well. It did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Oh my God, mate. Honestly, the pickles you get yourself into.
There's a lot.
We've got time for a couple more.
Oh, excellent. Go on.
So it says polos. I can't read the rest. Polos. What's happening on there?
Oh, so yeah, polos. The chapter is polos. And you remember like the polo mints used to be like polos, the mint with the hole in the middle?
Yes.
But yeah, the chapter is polos, the hedge with the hole in the middle. So I used to have a VW polo. I used to call him Paolo. Not very original, but and it was amazing. It was one of the only two-tone VW polos I'd ever seen, namely because the old lady I bought it off had parked it on her drive every day religiously for like 20 years. And so the sun had just dyed one side of it, like leached the colour out. So it was perfectly red on one half and then horrifically bright pink on the other half. But yeah, so I had this car and I was working this sales role at the time, and I was driving in one day and it was a bit icy, a bit snowy. So I didn't really know about driving safely at that point. I was just like, fuck it, I'm late for work. Drove into this car park, went to pull into the parking space and did this 360 spin. I was like, oh my God. I was screaming, holding onto the steering wheel. Car did a full 360. And it ended up not in the space I was going for, but the one next to it, perfect. Like, it was just not wonky or anything. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, holy shit. And I looked around, I was like, did anybody see it? Did anybody see that? No one did. I was like, oh, damn it. So I got out of the car, walked in, did the day's work. Next day, it was still a bit snowy. I was like, awesome. So I drove in, put my sunglasses on. I was like, I'm going to do this again. Now, I still know nothing about really driving and how to do wheel spins or anything like handbrake turns. But I thought, much like me playing arcade games back in like the 90s and 2000s, I'll just mash everything, mash all the buttons, try a combo, hope it works. I mean, the way like I mashed those pedals, I was kind of like channeling Michael Flatley with a bit of Ayrton Senna, and then it was going to end badly. So I went into the car park. I was like, do you know what? I've seen them do this thing. I was like, clutch, brake, accelerator, handbrake. Just did everything at once. And the car, started to spin, but it didn't do this like nice 360 pirouette. It did probably about 45 degrees at best, and then just sent me careering straight into the hedge. Because I realised it wasn't snowy anymore. It was ice. It had frozen solid overnight, so there was no way it was going to work. Anyway, slammed my Polo straight into the hedge just outside the office. I was like, fuck. So I managed to put it in reverse and just like unbury it, left this massive hole in the hedge. The car was scratched to shit. I was like, oh, fuck. I got out, I was like, there's no one about. Because I'd managed to arrive at that kind of no man's time of, we started work at 9 and this was 5 to 9. So everyone either got in 10 minutes early or people turned up 10 minutes late. There was no one rocking up just 5 minutes before. I was like, ace, no one about. So I locked the car, started walking over, and then I just saw, looking out of the floor-to-ceiling window, the FD just looking at me, sipping his coffee, and just mouthed the words, what a twat, and just took another sip of his coffee. I was like, oh, fuck. And so then I was like, oh my God. He walked off. As I was walking in, I was like, shit, is he going to go tell the MD? He's going to be like, this guy's got to get sacked. This prick's just stuck his car in the hedge. He's damaged company property. I was like, oh, God, please don't sack me. Please don't sack me. I walked up the stairs really quietly to try and hear him. And he's in the MD's office and he was chatting, but thankfully he said nothing about it. That's a relief. But so that is how that chapter came about. I stuck my VW Polo straight into this hedge, trying to be some flash boy racer and just messing it up horribly.
Honestly, it's hard to really. There's just so why is there so many of these stories? Like that, there's just it's just the volume.
It's just a mass.
Because also now you're writing a second book.
Years.
How is there a volume of this?
Well, because with that second book, a lot of it's the stuff that's taking place outside of the workplace that's just as awkward, if not more, and embarrassing and cringe-worthy and just downright wrong. But because when I wrote the first draft, I shared some of it with my wife, and she went, "You can't write about that, and that one you definitely can't put in there." And you're still friends with that guy, and he will not appreciate that. I was like, oh, even if I change all the names, because like, all the names are changed in the book and the location and stuff. She was like, even with changing the names, you will not get away with it. I was like, right, okay, I'll save that for another book then.
Wow. So you're going to have a personal version of this as a follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, there's some personal stuff dripped through this book, but there'll be a next one that's probably primarily just out of work stuff.
Crikey. Yeah. I can't wait to hear about that.
It's going to be a real blast.
So we've got The Perils of X-Ray Vision.
Yeah, so this is the one that my company was most concerned about. This is the one where they said, we're going to need you to change your name. Like when you publish a book, put it under a pseudonym. I was like, right, okay. And so basically the company had this funky bit of kit that was a thermal imaging camera. And we went to some big conference and we were saying, okay, we'll show you this thermal imaging camera and how it's used in our particular industry. And so we were showing people how it works. And it was quite cool. Like we'd never really seen it before. Another team had got it. I was just there to be like a show and tell guy. So I had a very quick overview of how it works. But nobody told us a key bit of information, which I'll reveal in a bit. But me and my friend were on the stand and we had these people coming up and we were like, oh yeah, this is how it works. Look, you can see your feet, you can see your hands. If you put your hand on the table and take it away, you can see your handprint still there. They're really sensitive. It's like a £25,000 bit of kit. And then we got bored. And being young, as you said earlier, you're young, you're a bit dumb, you've been drinking the night before, you're feeling a bit cheeky. We did what most guys do. And we started like looking at each other's crotches with it. And you're like, fuck. And we're like, dude, I can see your dick. I can see your dick with this thermal camera. And then I got chatting to this girl on the stand and we were having a good chat and, possibly flirting, possibly not. Depends if my wife listens to this. And then I came back over after we finished talking and my colleague was like, you liked her. So what do you mean? I was like, no, we're just getting on well. He's like, mate, I was looking and your dick was glowing red hot through the thermal imaging camera. I was like, what? I was like, that is not cool. I was like, you cannot be doing that. And I said, although. So then the rest of the day, we were mucking about like this. And then there was a trigger. There was a trigger on it. And I never really knew what the trigger was for. So again, boys being boys, like if there's a chance to throw something, shoot something, and another guy's nuts, you're going to take that opportunity just to inflict maximum pain and embarrassment on them. So we were like zap and like pretending to shoot each other in the nuts with thermal imaging cameras. We did not realize the crucial bit of information that we weren't told when we were being the show and tell guys is that takes a photo to an SD card that is in the thermal imaging cameras. So then later on, when people were coming around and hooking it up to the TVs and going, yeah, look at some of these shots of this engineering equipment and you can see how it picks up the heat signature. And they're like, that's not an engineering equipment box. No, what is that? Oh my God. And so they quickly stopped showing people the thermal imaging camera shots that had been taken because it was just full of fucking dick pics with thermal imaging cameras. And it was like, you know, that movie Predator where it sees everything in like all the little heat colors. It was like that. And
Oh my word.
so we blamed it on some unruly university students that were at this conference. And yeah, management believed us until I wrote this book and they were like, motherfuckers, you did what? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure taking photos of genitals on company thermal imaging cameras is going to get me sacked. But I think there was like some kind of statute of limitations because they said, look, we're not going to progress any further. Just change your name with the book. And I was like, yep, cool. If that's what I can do to get out of jail, happy days.
I just can't believe you've still got a job.
Yeah, a lot of people ask that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been a wild ride, like so many jobs, so many incidents, and they just keep on happening. Less so now I'm getting older, I think, because I've matured a little bit. I don't put myself in those situations. I mean, I've learned to have some self-restraint. That helps. But yeah, it still keeps on happening. Just this time with kids and fucking soft play incidents and going to mother care and shit like that. I mean, well, that shows how long ago my kids were born.
That's next time, I think. It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be next time we do this. So when are you hoping the new book's going to come out?
I'm not sure. It might be next year. Who knows? It takes a while to write these things. Like I started just putting things together, jotting them down when I was on holiday years ago, and then it would just be here and then. And then I took a concerted probably year of saying, right, one evening a week will be my time just to start writing this properly. So yeah, maybe 2026.
Okay. Well, where can someone go and get your book today? So Awkward Confessions from the Workplace.
Yep, it is on Amazon, so it's available on Kindle Unlimited, or you can buy it for your Kindle, or you can buy a paperback on Amazon now.
And I think you need to go and do stand-up. You have to. Honestly, I desperately encourage you to do it because you've got enough here. You need to go do it. I'll come with you.
It's a deal. Joint confessions.
Yes.
There we go.
There we are. I loved it. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, mate. Cheers.